It's time for episode 2 of the Ship It Show. We put out a vote last week, and there was a resounding yes for some Robstar. Woo! Everybody loves Robin and Starfire together. It is a canon ship. It's a perfect couple. People yearn for them to be together. Certainly on Teen Titans Go. Scotty Menville, say hello to everybody.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So happy to be here with my sister Tara, and my brother Greg.
Certainly on Go. Robin wants to be with Starfire, but we'll get a little bit into that later. So we have some amazing guests today. Of course, one is Scott Menville, who plays Robin on Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go. He has been Robin for 20 years now, something like that.
Close to it.
Yeah, and he is such an extraordinary gift to the planet. We share a birthday.
Yeah.
We are very, very similar. I think maybe the only difference between us is I like social media and he does not.
I am on it. I like certain things about it, but yeah, you love it.
And oh my God, we're so in love. And also I love your gorgeous wife and I just adore you so much. And I think you're such a quality human being. So thank you for joining us today.
Right back at you. You are one of the most generous, giving people I know. So.
Aw, thanks, Scotty.
Yeah, much love, much love.
Aw. And then, oh my gosh, this human does not do podcasts, but he could not say no to Raven. So, oh my gosh, world, say hello to George Pérez. Woo!
Hello. Yes. Raven used mind control from the very first issue of Teen Titans, and she obviously still has that power now.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored that you're joining us, George. If you don't mind, I'd love to start with you and give us your history of how you came to really give birth to the Teen Titans. I mean, you're such an integral part of their history and their origin stories and how they look. And you would not only write, but you draw. You're such an extraordinary gift. And I'd love for you to sort of tell the world how Teen Titans all came to be for you.
Well, as far as the Teen Titans birth, I was probably more midwife. Then gave birth. Marv Wolfman came up with most of the concepts and approached me about doing this revival of the Teen Titans franchise. And I honestly didn't think it was going to go anywhere. For 6 issues, I figured I can do it. I didn't think it would last longer than that. And he gave me these concepts for the characters, the new ones he wanted to put in with Starfire, Raven, and Cyborg, and plus a modification of the original Beast Boy to Changeling. And I said, okay. So, I used archetypes. Marv had very, very set ideas, the types of characters they were. But once I gave them the visuals, then, as Marv said, then they became characters. Then they started coming to life. Then he saw, Starfire, who in the comic version was basically Red Sonja in outer space. Raven had that mysterious feel to her, and I came up with the idea of having her costume and thus her silhouette resemble a dark bird, a raven. So she had the cowl with the beak on it, and the fact that she was non-aggressive, not an action character. So I gave her a dress. I gave her, a cloak that practically covered her entirely to make her look more mysterious. And for Cyborg, since I came in, I'm from the inner city in New York, and I based it a lot more on the people I know, and including a bit of myself, of the outsider from the more seedier urban areas, and gave him a bit of a backdrop as well. And the big thing about doing them, designing visually, is that by looking at them, you sense who they were. You look at Raven, you can tell she's not Starfire. She's not going to behave like Starfire. She's not going to emote like Starfire, and she doesn't sound like Starfire. Same thing with any other characters there. And that's one of the things which obviously you both would understand. In trying to design the characters, I was casting them in my head so that I knew exactly how they would stand, how they would interact, and that no one behaves the same way in a given situation. And that was something that Marv was an expert at as well. So we relished working with each other. We would throw things back and forth. And after a while, when we were planning stories, we would just sit down and talk about it. I would go home, draw it. Marv would then get the artwork and then write it, because we understood where the characters were going. I didn't even have to give him notes. I'm lazy when it comes to that, so I don't give him notes, but He said my storytelling and my understanding of the characters was so dead on. He could understand exactly what I wanted, and if he decided to interpolate from that and not do exactly what I thought, he said, well, he kept in character. So the fact that we like to surprise each other. So a book that I never expected to last more than 6 issues. Here I am 40 years later with so many people who the Titans have been part of their lives, an integral part of their lives, and still has generations to come thanks to obviously Titans Go, because I meet young adults who grew up with the cartoon. I said, oh my God, it's been around that long. Yeah. I can feel the age spot just popping out of my hands. But again, I'm incredibly grateful. And I always thank Marv every time I see him. Because I said, A, it's provided me a very nice retirement income. But the fact that I never expected it to be successful. But we just had a good time doing it. And Marv freely admits, there's no formula. We didn't know it was going to be successful either. He didn't know either. We just did the book because we liked the characters. By issue 8 is when I fell in love with the characters, because that was the issue, A Day in the Lives. We dealt with the characters just as personalities, not as superheroes, not fighting any villains, just an everyday life, a day in the life of the characters. And that's was a magic moment for me. That's when I realized, okay, and now what other books I was doing, I had to drop. I just want to dedicate myself to the Teen Titans. And that happened to also be the book I was drawing on October 17th. It'll be 40 years since the first date I had with the woman who becomes my wife. And I was doing that issue at the time I met her.
Wow.
Oh,
I had that date with her.
Like, we need applause noises, Luke. I've got chills. Are you blown away, Scotty?
I actually got chills too, and I'm paraphrasing, but I got chills when you were talking about how when you designed the characters, just by looking at them, you can tell that each one is different, and how you said, and I'm paraphrasing, in any given situation, nobody acts exactly the same way. And I think, like, I got chills right there because that's so amazing. And I think that's one of the reasons that fans love these characters and identify with them, because there's, if not all 5, there's at least 1 out of the 5 that a fan goes, wow, that's my Titan. I feel like I'm Starfire or I'm Raven or whatever. So I got
and
chills.
the challenge that you guys meet, which is obviously adds an extra dimension to what Marv and I had done, is that since every fan has an idea of what the characters probably sound like, or who they would cast if they were doing live action, that type of stuff. The fact that you've been embraced so much for giving life to those characters vocally, said, okay, then you found that voice. The fact that the fans agreed, yes, this is what Raven sounds like. This is what Robin sounds like, and Starfire and all the others. So I commend you for that, because you've become part of the lifeblood now of the Titans. You provide the extra dimension that neither Marv or I could provide.
First of all, I'm so grateful that fans identify with the show and identify with our characters. I'm so grateful to be Robin. And Tara knows I'm not somebody to brag, so I'm really not trying to brag. But one of the best compliments I ever got was when Marv Wolfman came to one of the recording sessions on the original Titans and said to me on a break, "Your voice is how I always heard Robin in my head when I was writing." I was like, wow, thank you.
I love that. And George, it really is like, thank you for that. We'd be nowhere without you and without Marv. And it's such a collaborative process. And it's pure creativity. When you speak about, like how Scott said, you knew how they walked, you knew how they talked. As an actor, oh, this is how they laugh. This is how they feel about this person in their life, in this relationship. And you build a whole world to act from, and you build a whole world to draw from. And it's like this huge ball of inspiration that creates this massive success that, you're right, speaks to generations. And I know you know this, George and Scott, going to Comic-Cons and meeting people that say, Robin saved my life. Raven helped me when I was suicidal, or got me through my parents' divorce. And on a side note, I just want to say I met George. I can't remember at what con. We've been at a few. I was completely blown away by his kindness. He's so humble and like just such a sweet guy. And he donates so much to charity. He's got like his money jar on the table where he's drawing and signing all day, and it's all going to charity. And you're just such an extraordinary human being, George. Like the world, like you could write a book.
so incredibly aware and grateful for the life I've had. I mean, for 45 years, I got to make a living doing exactly what I wanted to do since I was a child. I mean, and I've gotten a bit of celebrity. I've gotten a good income, and add to that a wonderful marriage that has kept me going all these years. And there's that part of me that think that no matter how hard I worked, how much credit I'm being given for the creativity or talent or whatever, I know that a lot of it's also luck, and that has to be returned. I have to be appreciative of what I've gotten. And one of the great things now, and again, a lot of thanks to the Titans. Titans has provided me with a lifestyle that I never have to work a day in my life. I'm doing fine. Thanks to the cartoon show, thanks to all the merchandising, I'm doing fine. So that all the sketches that I do now, like I did at conventions, I open up, to do sketches at home or signings, and every penny of it goes to either a charity or, because of what's going on right now in the world, most of it's going out to my friends who are really in need right now. So
yeah. Beautiful.
I make a good deal of money doing that, and that gives me a purpose in my life. And again, all of this, none of this would have happened if it hadn't been for Marv Wolfman convincing me to do this book that I didn't think would last 6 issues.
Amazing. And wait, the first one was the new Teen Titans, right?
The new Teen Titans, right? And because the fact that we're 2 other books called the Teen Titans, and they wanted something to differentiate them.
Right. Now's a good time if you have any favorite charities, either of you, that you want to plug on the show, and we'll put a little link to them once we post this show. Do you guys have favorite charities that you like to support?
I one year I donated to, I think, close to 23 different charities. So I diversify quite a bit there.
Wow.
But especially the charities that help children. St. Jude's Hospital, Shriners Hospital for Children, and others. Those have my priorities. I also like to support our men in uniform and the Hero Initiative, because it's my industry. So I've been very fortunate that I've been made life member to a lot of different charities, because of sometimes I would get emails from the charities and saying, "Are you sure this is what you're donating? And you didn't inadvertently add an extra zero. We don't want to take advantage of you." Again, that's the case.
Oh, I love that. That is one of the keys to success.
As much as I've enjoyed, drawing and everything else, that it allows me to use my fame to make a difference. I have met young people. That one woman whose eyesight I restored because she couldn't afford her eye surgery. Wow. And a few people, unfortunately, life has been very tough, and I give a credit to their own backbone, because obviously, but the fact that they're alive, because some needed rehabilitation of sorts, others had other things, others just plain the economics of the time, and I can't, in good conscience, enjoy the type of life I'm enjoying right now and watch this go by. So I don't measure my wealth by the money in the bank. I measure it by what I can do with it. And that's something that gives me and a lot of that is the same type of stuff that I believe in heroes. That's the type of characters I like doing. The fact that in a rather cynical age that we live in, that people seem to question heroes or think that there's an ulterior motive to heroes. And to me, I don't want to describe it in the case of Superman, when somebody who was doing cosplay, and how would I describe Superman? I said, Superman is someone who has the power to be man's conqueror and chooses to be man's servant. And that's how I feel about, that when you have so much, we're part of the same planet. We need to share that, help when we can. And when I meet young fans who dress up as the superheroes and then go to hospitals or go someplace where they do charitable stuff, that is a true testament of what we do as comic book creators, that we manage to inspire. And again, you guys are part of that now. I don't think I've ever seen you, Josh, as I can bet you obviously I've seen Tara a few times. At one point, I was going to try to sneak up on Tara. The way she snuck up on me while I was doing a panel one time and kissed me in my head. Thank you, dear. But she has such a large crowd of people just listening to her, and you know, as she's regaling them with all these stories, and how many people are just inspired by her, not only to Raven, but all the other characters that she had done. I said, oh, I can't go in there. I'd be the interloper. So I just backed away, and you never saw me.
Oh
But
my gosh, George, you're
I-
such a hero. I hope you write a life story now that you're retired. You have so many wonderful.
My brother
stories.
keeps telling me that.
Yeah, he's right.
Listen to your brother.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Good, yeah, I can hear you perfectly. You sound wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, brother.
Okay, well, for those of you who are just catching up, this is my co-host who missed the entire show. And Cipes, I got to tell you, you got to listen back to this later. George has given us such a gift with regaling us with stories of his career and his life and how generous he is and how important it is to give back to people, and also recognizing the importance of fandom and his importance in the world. And you're such a beautiful soul, George. I'm so grateful that you joined us today. I feel like I could listen to you for hours and hours.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
Now start from the beginning, George.
No,
That's what the rewind button is for.
Yes. Oh my God, he's so incredible. You know, George, if you're willing to give us a little more time, I'd love to know, like, when you thought about, so our show focuses a lot about the love surrounding these characters, and people imagine them in relationship or as friends. Did you ever think of Robin and Starfire one day as a couple, or any of the, or Beast Boy and Raven, or did any of those thoughts ever come to your mind?
Oh gosh, interesting enough, that's one of the things that Marv and I ended up disagreeing with in later on. But yes, the fact that, the first time Robin sees Starfire plants a big kiss on him, because that's, in the comic, that's how she learned through physical contact how to speak English. It was like a mind transfer, but it was through a kiss, which right there defined Starfire, or Corey, as I call her by her real name. That was pretty much from the get-go. We knew that Robin has a strong female following. The Robin Rooters, as I sometimes call the Graysonites, or later on the Wingnuts when he became Nightwing. And I understood that. And I'm a sucker for romance. So the idea of them having this immediate flirtation was wonderful. And as my own personal life, romantic life, started becoming more secure, and it was blossoming, I noticed that a lot of it was being transferred to the kids of the Teen Titans, especially Robin and Starfire. And in addition, the fact that Wonder Girl, eventually she would have a romantic interest. Raven, of course, we knew, because of the way she was, a real romance where she would be so effusive was bogged down because of her, obviously her father. She did have daddy issues.
You could say that.
Now I'm her daddy.
Oh, I don't think so.
And the fact that before we go any further, when we did the first issue of what we call the Baxter series, where the book, we were doing a direct sales first version of the Teen Titans, where I established that they went to bed together. It was a simple panel, didn't call attention to it, other than the fact that an alarm went off, they got up and they're in bed together, without being prurient or anything else, but just being matter of fact, because I knew that we were going to be dealing with storylines that were in Corey's life, or her future would be in danger. And I wanted to make sure, visually and unquestionably, that people understood, no, these two are committed to each other. So that whatever happens, it's with the understanding that, they've got a love bond with them. And unfortunately, within a few months afterwards, I left the series because I needed to pursue other things. The most ridiculous thing is the fact that I didn't leave because I had any problem with Marv or anything else. It's just that the book was so successful, and I had to get out on a monthly basis. I had to do less than my best work, and the book was still selling through the roof. And that was a dangerous place for me as an artist to be, where I can get away with doing less than my best work.
Wow.
So I left the book so I can do a book that would have to challenge me to do better. And when I announced my resignation, I made sure I announced it with Marv standing next to me, so that no one would ever assume that I would have anything but the utter respect and love for that wonderful man who's been my partner and my friend for so many years. But then there was a storyline that Marv and I were planning, and that this is where we divided our feelings there. And of course, I had nothing to say about it. I was no longer in the book. Is when there was a point where Corey was being forced into a marriage back on her home world.
Oh yeah.
And that she eventually acquiesced because that is, she was a princess. She was a part of the royal. This was her royal duty, and that's what Marv's argument was. And I said, absolutely not. This is a woman, despite her duty. Her duty was to remain a slave from the beginning of the Titans series. She escaped because she's still a strong enough person. And there's no way I could see her agreeing to this or Dick agreeing to it without putting up much more of a fight. I said, and I think the irony of it, and where we were at the time, I think Marv at that point was having issues with his first marriage. So things weren't as happy for him. I was enjoying my wonderful marriage. So I think our personalities at that point, our emotional states were a little different, because when we did the wedding of Donna Troy, when she got married in the comics, I catered that myself, basically, because Marv just basically let me go and said, no, I'm going to give them the wedding that I wish Carol and I had, because we got married at City Hall quickly. And so, but I am a happily married man, and I want somebody in this comic book world to be happy. People sometimes think that marriage is only dramatic if there's strife or if there's a constant bickering or some chance that always going to break up, as opposed to, no, I'm fully believe that married people can be the most interesting people in the world. I love the old Thin Man series with Nick and Nora. They were married, happily married, always had adventures. When it comes to Dick and Corey, I believe that they still love each other. And I don't think anything should have broken them up, because I said, no, I would jump on a grenade for my wife. And I would imagine that Dick would jump on a grenade for her, and vice versa.
Well, you heard it from George. This is why this ship is so canon, because it's from its inception was meant to be. I remember reading some of the origin stories, and Starfire was married twice before, and her one husband died when the planet was taken over, and another one died, and of course it always seemed that that Robin and Star were meant to be, and now we know why. It's very often, I find, don't you guys, that your life mirrors what you're doing in your acting or in your writing or your drawing. Like, it's so parallel. It's sometimes you go, oh, that's weird, but maybe it's not weird. Maybe it's all part of this cosmic purpose, and it's exactly how it was meant to be. And I appreciate you saying that, because it's true. Marriage and two people being together shouldn't be turmoil and toxicity and constant fighting to make people fit into a mold. It should be a partnership. It should be mostly happy. Not saying that bad things don't happen and suddenly something happens, but it's nice to honor and discuss and not just fantasize, but live a life without tension. So thank you, George, for sharing that. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about, personalities, being reflected in your creative work. Again, it's like any acting that you've done. How many times have you told to reach into yourselves and find something that you can transfer out when you need to do a scene? What can you recall as similar in your life, and then act with it? Obviously, you guys have been doing that professionally. What I do on paper, you've been doing through your voice or through flesh when it for those who do any on screen. And I said, it's something we all do. And Marv was always the one who he would compliment us, or said that our best compliment was when we would get letters from the fans, and I would read the fan mail, and sometimes they don't even mention if they like the art. Do they like my work? And then, but Marv would point out, yes, but in that same letter, you don't see them commenting on the clever wordplay, all the descriptive passages. No, they were involved with the stories. They were involved with the characters. They have become the completion of what we're doing. They're there. That's the most important thing. The story is the important. The characters are important. It's more important than us. That's why through Marv as well, about being humble. No, it's the fact that we can't let our egos be the thing that drives the book. It has to be the characters that drive the book. I mean, when you guys are doing your characters, obviously at this point, you're not the actors doing it, you're the characters. And particularly since you have to sell it so much without the advantages that Marv and I or live action actors have. It's all in your voice. And that I find an incredible gift that you guys have.
Speaking of gifts, George, how do you feel about the Teen Titans Go reincarnation of all the characters and how far we get to push them?
Now, to be honest, I mean, and it's never meant as a disparaging or even a commentary. In fact, I've seldom ever watched it, only because I can't watch it unbiasedly because visually it's so divorced from my characters. Conceptually, yes, I can see certain things. I did see, a couple of episodes, including the first episode that was invited to the premiere party. To me, it's like walking into my own house and finding that all my furniture has been changed, all the decorations have been changed, that it's still my house, but it doesn't feel like my house. And as much as I would criticize them if their tastes, if they had bad taste in redecorating, I'd be hurt even more if they had better taste than I did, and it looks better than what I did, what I would have done with it. So the thing is, despite that, one of the things that made me become so enamored with the work that's done there, even if I wasn't an actual viewer, because I really wasn't the audience. When I went to a convention and a young man with his 2 children came in asking for autographs and sketches, and the 2 children are just getting into the Teen Titans thanks to the cartoons. But they were looking forward to, when they got old enough, to be able to read the comic. They knew that the comic existed. They knew it was a different type of feel to it, but that they were too young for it, so that the Titans was their entry level. And I thought, now I understand this. This has broadened our audience. This has broadened kids who, by the time I was signing those autographs, I was off the book. I mean, some of these kids weren't even born at that point. So, and you've given the Titans, and by extension, Marv and me and anyone else who worked on the series, a strong afterlife. The idea is like, and I love in the case of Beast Boy, yes, made him changeling. And now he's become Beast Boy again. It's come full circle. And now he's back to being that smart-alecky kid he was when we first got him, that the Teen Titans, even though it's been 40 years since I started that book, they're still teenagers. They're still kids. And they'll always be kids. We're all architects of Neverland here. We're all creating these, wonderful kids who will never grow up and always will have a brand new audience. And the audience that finds Titans Go would go on to the Teen Titans first cartoon show, will go on to the comic book, and go on maybe to some of the live action series, which is obviously much more adult oriented. It's got something for everybody, and it's the main essence of it is always the same camaraderie, the same familial bond. Like that's one thing that Marv and I always want. We wanted to feel like they were family. So they would support each other, even when they fight, even when they have, outlandish, bigger earth-shattering issues to deal with or villains to fight, that when you get down to the nitty-gritty, people they can always trust is each other. And that's very key in society in general, to find the people you can love and, again, as I said, who will fall on a grenade for you.
What a legacy that you're leaving too. I mean, when we're all gone, people are going to still read those comics, still watch those shows. You've inspired, I'm sure, tons of generations. You're so important, George. I hope you know that. You're just such a gift. You really are.
There was an artist, he passed away a few years ago, at too young an age, and Michael Turner. And one time, we were doing a panel together, and this is a gentleman who, at that point, cancer was already starting to, write the path where he was going. And we knew he didn't have very long, but he was so optimistic. And we were talking about comics, and people were asking, and again, saying the type of things you said about how much, you've changed lives. And I made an offhand comment, we're doing comics, we're not rocket scientists. And without batting an eye, Mike Turner just turned and said, yes, but think of the people we have inspired to be rocket scientists. I said, that in a nutshell, said, yes. He made me really feel, okay, then I did matter in a fashion. And again, this man who had every reason to be bitter because of what life had thrown his way, And to have that attitude for the job he and I did, I could never look at my work and think, it was just drawing comics.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. George, I can't wait till we can go to Comic-Cons again and hug each other and interact with all the people that love us so much. And you deserve all the love in the world. I'm so grateful you came on today, George.
Oh yeah, I was flattered, And again, now I can actually put faces. And I'll confess, obviously I had met Tara. Beast Boy, you really do surprise me. I've drawn several haircuts for Beast Boy. That's not the ones I ever gave him.
Yeah, bro, come on.
Robin definitely has a cooler coif than I do. So.
Well, you and I share this coif,
Sure, I want to touch on the fact that you've actually created a family for us, me, Tara, and Scott, and the rest of the Titans for the past 20 years. We were brought together because of your love, your original, your art, all the passion and love and blood, sweat, and tears that you put into creating these stories and these characters have really, transcended all these different dimensions. And now I have a much deeper, family in this dimension because of you, me, Scott, and Tara.
Oh gosh,
and Carl,
We really all love each other so much. Talk about being there for
I
each
think
other.
that's
falling
so
a good aid for
beautiful.
each other.
And the fact that I'm asked to be on this Zoom podcast thing because people want to hear from me. It's still rather awe-inspiring, and it's still novel enough for me not to take it, for granted. Because I sometimes can't believe that. So, when clear across the world, people know who I am. People know what I've done. That to me is something I never, as a kid growing up in the South Bronx, to working class parents, and having to struggle for every penny we can get, that this would be my life. Got to work in the job that I've always wanted to work since I was a child. My wife and I got to celebrate 40 years of a wonderful marriage next year. I have a wonderful fan base. I've got a nice income to retire on. If I were to balance the negatives with the positives are a good deal heavier. And people comment the fact that I seem to be quite happy and positive. I'd be the biggest ingrate in the world not to appreciate the life I've had, not to appreciate the success I've achieved, and the fact that I have 3 young people right here who are actually paying audience to me for this, and that's.
Are you kidding, George? We are even more in love with you now. You are I did not anticipate this would go this well. You're so beautiful and authentic, and we are never going to be gone because you put your heart and soul and everything you had into this collaboration of bringing these characters to life, and we all want to thank you and just know that you are a hero to so many, and we're so grateful that you joined us, and your story in its entirety should be told. Listen to your brother and write that book. And oh my God, thank you so much for giving us this time today. You're such a gift.
Well,
George.
thank you for inviting me. I'm sorry I monopolized so much of it, though.
Are you kidding me? No, there is no time limit on this show. And I guarantee you, as long as we go, people are going to want more. So we'll have you on episode 5 as well.
Okay, honey.
George, more George.
Can I ask a question? This is not my podcast. I'm a guest. So Greg and Tara, if you don't mind me asking a question, I just want to know, because you followed your passion and we've all followed our passions and not done what was maybe expected of us. And I just want to know, when you were a kid, there must have been teachers or adults or whoever, stop drawing. You're always drawing. Did you go through that?
Well, I did have one teacher, because when I went to high school, I did apply for the School of Art and Design in New York. But my mom in particular really wanted me to have a Catholic education, so she preferred that I went to a Catholic school. And I got into a high scholastic rated Catholic school because I was an honor student. So I got into a good school, and they had an art program. And I said, okay, I'll take the art classes there. And also the fact that since I started forgetting my mother tongue, I wanted to be able to take Spanish again. So I applied for Spanish as my selective language. Because I was an honor student, they gave me Latin instead of Spanish. I haven't found a dead Roman to talk to yet. And they canceled the art program the year I went in. So I never had the art classes
no.
either. So they gave me mechanical drawing, not really something that's going to be serviceable for me. But and so I hated it. But the teacher there, because I always said I want to be a cartoonist and artist, he said, learn this mechanical drawing. You're never going to make any kind of a living doing cartoons. I wish I could go back to him. I remember his name to this day, Michael Carey.
Michael Carey, are you listening? Are you listening? He's a legend, Michael Carey. Whatever.
A few years ago, my high school had a George Pérez Day.
Oh.
And they were showing all my work on a screen that was donated by another graduate of the high school, Martin Scorsese. So I had my stuff work being shown on a screen that Martin Scorsese provided. And they had me lecture to all the art classes there and talking to the students in the assembly. And I must be very proud, and I said, very proud of myself that I never once submitted to the temptation of saying, the art classes, that they canceled the year I came to this school. So I never got the art classes that you guys are getting now. So like, even my parents, who are incredibly grateful for the way my career has gone and everything else, that I have been successful. And I'm very grateful. My parents are both 89 years old and they're still with us. But the concern, art is very subjective. Not everyone, for every successful artist, is an unsuccessful artist. Many unsuccessful artists. So they wanted me to have a good education. So they never discouraged me, but they always said, be prepared if you don't make it. And I was lucky. I've been working professionally since I was 19 years old. So like I did luck out and met the right person who needed an assistant, and I managed to get there. But thankfully, I was very lucky that I was never discouraged. And one of the things that I tell people who are asking about what it takes to be an artist, is that, talent aside, you're an artist if you can't imagine not being an artist. That because then nothing can stop you, because then you are driven, then you are you fight the battle, and like and understanding that doing artwork, like any creative process, like going through an audition and not taking it personally when you're not accepted, that type of deal. The fact that yes, these are your children that you feel that they're criticizing, but you also have to understand that if they're expecting to pay you, they're not their parents, and they're not going to put up anything that you draw, no matter how bad, and put it on the refrigerator. You're gonna have to work for what you love, and if you love doing it, it's not really work anymore. It is something that, if I did not make a living as a cartoonist, I don't think I'd stop drawing, because it is who I am. It's part of what I do. It defines me, because I'm doing what I love to do. What kind of better gift is that you can actually live your life doing and earning a living with what your passion is. I mean, we sometimes forget how rare that is in this world. And 100%. We always have to be grateful for that. And
100%. We all are, and that's so true. My gosh, George, thank you so much for giving us your time today. I cannot say enough about you. You're just a magical, magical being. And
thank you, sweetheart. And again, you guys, you keep taking care of yourselves, obviously, with everything that's going on outside.
Yeah.
George, I hope one day, George, you're on Teen Titans Go with us. That would be a prayer.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'm one for voiceover work anyway.
Oh, you can play yourself.
You heard it first right here on the Ship It Show. We're saying out to the universe, we want George on Teen Titans Go.
Thanks, George. We love you.
Take care, all of you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm even more obsessed with him now.
So cool.
Wow.
What a gift. What a gift, human.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't do this, so.
And what a giver. I mean, even talking about, like, when you talked about the charities, and then he says he's also helping friends who are in need right now through this tough time.
He gives away everything he makes at cons, everything. He doesn't keep a dime. Yeah. Okay, shippers, we have a very special guest. Letitia is here with us. Say hello to the world, Letitia.
Hello, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Girl, oh my God, we are so honored. Can you please, before we start, so we don't forget, tell everybody where to find you on Instagram so that they can see what you do?
Okay, my Instagram is LetsDrafts, and it's basically an account that I post everything that I draw, illustrations, and mostly fan arts.
You're so talented, and I noticed you like to draw Robstar a lot.
Yes.
I would love to know what inspired you to start drawing these characters and tell us about your background. You're such a talented artist. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I've always liked to draw ever since I was a little girl. So it's something that's always felt natural to me. And it always felt natural to draw characters that I like. I've always been a fangirl, like ever since I was a kid. And I grew up watching Teen Titans. So it's a show that it has had many influence on the way I draw, like the way I draw cartoons. I've drew them for a while, and I'm a hardcore shipper, so it only makes sense that like I drew the characters that I ship, and Robstar and BB-Ray, like they've always been around for me, and it's always been a thing. So I recently got into digital art. It's something that's like this year, more recent. And the first thing that I wanted to draw was Teen Titans characters because they mean so much to me and they've been around for such a long time. And I thought, you know, there was no better place to start. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. And where do you live? Where are we talking to you from?
I'm from Brazil. I'm from Salvador, Bahia. Yes, I'm far away.
I have family there. I'm going to come visit you because I have to go visit some family.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Oh
I have cousins there that I don't really know. I met them when I was very little. This is an interesting story real quick. I remember her coming to visit, and I remember like being maybe 5 years old and thinking she was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen. Her name was Rosalia. And I was like, oh my God, I love this girl. And then Sammy Strong, my son, did a 23andMe. And he's like, Mom, it says we have family in Brazil. And I said, yes, that's right. And somebody contacted him and said, hey, I think we're cousins. And Sammy's like, Mom, this kid thinks we're cousins. And I said, well, ask him if he knows Rosalia. And he's like, that's my mom.
Whoa.
Like, oh my God.
Wow.
Oh, it was pretty amazing. So one day I'll come visit you.
That's amazing. Oh my God. You're welcome to stay here anytime you want.
Oh, thank you.
I have a question for her. What do you think about all the Star and Robin shipping on Teen Titans Go? Because they play with that a lot on the show.
Yes. In both Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, I think Star and Robin are such polar opposites in a way. They're not 100% opposites, but they have some traits that make them a really balanced relationship. So one thing that I always love is like Star is such a cheerful girl and so open, and Robin is more closed off but strategic in a way. And their differences, like, you know, make them really work together well. I think it's something that fits, you know.
She's so smart too.
I was gonna say on Teen Titans Go, we get so silly with it.
Yeah.
Were these kind of things you'd ever imagine could be, like happen with these characters the way we play with them on Teen Titans Go?
I think it's so cool that like on 2003 Teen Titans, we saw Starfire like showing her feelings the most, and in Teen Titans Go, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Robin is the one that really loves trucks. So
Right.
I think these differences are like great.
Poor Robin.
Poor Robin. Poor Robin on Go. Yeah.
Letitia, are you a professional artist? Like, is that your dream job? Would you like to draw the cartoon in real, like draw us doing voices and stuff like that?
Definitely. I still have a lot to learn. I'm still a student. I'm studying design, and I'm really interested in illustration and photography the most. So I'm, still trying to learn and becoming better. I still have a lot of technique ahead of me, but it's something that I really want to pursue. Yes.
You're so talented. I hope you hire us all one day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I hope you guys hire me.
Robin, do you have any questions for her? She's so amazing.
Well, that was pretty insightful and articulate. You hit it on the head. I've always seen Starfire. Obviously, all these characters have come from strife and pain and hurt and grief. And even though Starfire's been hurt, she just leads with this big open heart, and her eyes are wide, and she's so optimistic and so full of love. And I think Robin's attracted to that because Robin has so many walls up. He's been hurt, so he's very protective, and he also feels like he has to protect this team, so he's very guarded. And something about those polar opposites, it's really kind of nice on the original one when you would see hints of them getting together. On Go, I think it's pretty funny that Robin just gets no play, no respect. She calls him fish breath and stuff like that. I think it's great.
Baby hands.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I hope Starfire changes her mind and Teen Titans Go. I'm really for them.
that'd be maybe we'll have a big musical moment for you guys to
that'd be great.
Have your love.
Titans on ice, like you always joke, Tara.
Yeah. So, Letitia, will you also, for people that don't understand shipping and what that means and the idea that it's inspired art, the love of these characters, can you talk a little bit about what that means to you?
I think I started like creating headcanons in my mind of what could happen in the show and didn't happen for some reason. And I just, I know how to draw like a little bit at first when I started. So why shouldn't I draw it myself? And that's how I started. And I would just see those pictures in my mind and come up with scenes. And I also write a little bit. So it would be like, making it come to life in a way. I don't know how to do animation yet, but drawing is a way to do so. And since I've always been such a shipper, and like I always connect with these characters, and I always connect with their stories and their relationships and the way they evolve and they develop it on the shows. So it's always felt natural to me.
I love that so much. So on Instagram, your title is My Online Sketchbook. It's at LetDidier. Everybody should check her out. I'm scrolling right now, and we'll scroll some of these for the audience when that plays. I see you did a Timmy Turner over here. That's pretty cool. We definitely have a lot of BB Ray. Oh, you did Powerpuff Girls. You're so talented. My gosh. We're always, by the way, there's a really cool Robin one. You should see this one, Scotty.
I'll check it.
We're always so touched, by the way, when fans create art that maybe we helped inspire too. Like, we're so grateful for you that you take the time to be creative and then put it out there so that we can find it. It was so easy for me to find you. I literally put in the hashtag Robstar and your art popped up, and my mind was blown by how gifted you are. So thank you for putting it out there for everybody to enjoy. I mean, there's that Picasso saying that was like, one of your purposes in life is to get gifts or something, and then the gift is to share it. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm completely ruining it, but there's something like that where it's like your purpose is to share it, and you did, and that's how we found you. And I hope you keep drawing, and I hope we get to work with you one day. And if anybody else have any more questions for her, or do you have any questions for us?
Oh God, that would be such a dream. I would like to thank you first about everything you said. It's just, I started this account like with no pretension in any way. And it's just crazy for me because think the other way around. You've always inspired me with those characters. And then I just started to draw them because it felt natural. And one day I was like, okay, I'm just gonna post it. And suddenly you're talking to me, and then you invite me to be here. And then I'm here and I'm like, what's happening? So it's been such a dream come true and such an honor. And hearing you say that like you hope you work with me someday, you have no idea how much I hope so.
Oh,
to be in that place.
Love her? I think we are all going to move in with her. I think we should all move in with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Oh my God.
Letitia's like, oh my God, why did I say yes? Now all the Titans are at my house forever.
They're eating my cereal. They're sleeping on my floors. What's the deal?
Aw.
I should probably say BB Ray is my favorite ship of all time, and Robstar is probably the second. And of all of the DC universe, they're like top guys to me.
Say that again.
She said BB Ray is her
Say
number
that
one.
again.
That's right.
BB Ray is my number one ship.
yeah?
Yeah, it's my OTP ever. And Robstar is the second, like in the whole DC world and all the universe. So they're really important to me.
In our original Teen Titans show, Robstar was my favorite ship.
Really?
Oh, really? Oh, the truth comes out. Okay. All right. Whatever, dude. Whatever. Thank you so much for coming on with us, Letitia. You're just such a gift, and you're a doll, and you're gorgeous, and you're smart, and you're talented. Please keep drawing and keep in touch with us, and maybe we'll have you on another show. Maybe when we do the big BB Ray episode, we'll bring on some of your art again.
Oh God, that would be an honor.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely up for that, and I'm definitely up for staying in touch. No doubt.
Thanks, cute stuff.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye. Oh my God, is she the cutest?
Oh, so sweet.
You're the cutest. She's the cutest. She's the cutest. Oh my gosh. She's like,
just
how do
leave.
I get away from these
Okay,
people now?
yeah. No, oh my God, I wish I could stay.
Oh, we'll have you back. We'll do a big BB Ray when we finally do
Yeah.
BB Rays.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, cutie.
I'm always impressed by people who can draw because
Oh my God.
it's just so cool. Sometimes fans will send us things or show up at a con. I mean, you guys do more cons than I do, but I've done enough where people show up and give you something that they've drawn, and it's amazing. It's such a talent.
This was so much fun. We had no idea that Robstar would take up all this time, but we have to explore it because it's so canon and there's so much love. So don't forget to tune into part 2 of Robstar and find us where you find all your podcasts. The Ship It Show.